I'm going to go ahead and stop this screen share so I can see more of you. And welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have you here today. So I've just got a couple of things I want to talk about. And the first one is basically the fact that I'm starting an initiative. I would like for as many people to get involved with this as possible as far as getting a National Day of Detox on the calendar for January 2nd. And I've done a lot of research into good days to do a National Day of Detox. And it turns out that on my parents' anniversary and after the New Year's and all the celebrations, January 2nd sounds like a wonderful day to actually have registered as the National Day of Detox. So that's really the big announcement for today. So if anybody wants to go ahead and start with their questions, I'd love to go ahead and dive right on in. And I do have some questions that have been sent to me by email that if we have no questions, I'll go ahead and run those through. But anybody like to go ahead and start, just unmute and go ahead and throw out your question. Go ahead, Veronica.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but I'll take the most important first because
Okay.
I understand that other people want questions too.
Mhm.
As for the sauna, I haven't gotten the book in the mail yet, but I've heard on your podcasts with you and the video.
Mhm.
And you're gonna take your niacin and then wait a couple of hours and then do a little workout and then go in the sauna. But can I do my normal workout? So if I have 1 hour of weight training, can I just do that? And then afterwards take like 20 minutes of cardio and then go in the sauna? Or the days where I have cardio, can I do 1 hour cardio that I usually do and then go in the sauna? Or is the 20-30 minutes essential? Is that a maximum like?
Actually, it's more a case of we want to keep your training heart rate down below the high end of the range. So
Okay.
if people don't understand, you probably do, but if people don't understand what a training heart rate range is, it's essentially the fastest way to calculate it is 220 minus your age, and then you multiply that value by I think it's 0.65 and then 0.8. I may have that backwards. It might be 0.85, but anyway, the top end of that range is what you don't want to exceed in beats per minute. And the reason for that is because if the heart rate range is exceeded, then what happens is you go from a fat burn to a carb burn, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose. So we want to stay in the fat burn. So as long as what you're doing is going to stay below the high end of your training heart rate range, then you should be okay. So it's not about the limit is 30 minutes or anything like that. In a lot of cases, I'm lucky if I can get somebody to even be able to do 20 minutes of exercise who's been very sedentary for a long period of time. And I have some people who are physically just unable to exercise. And in fact, we have a solution for that too. We can have you do a type of breathing exercise. In fact, I used to think it was a Wim Hof breathing exercise, and I realized it's Tony Robbins who shows how to do the priming exercise. So that's something that people can do, even in the sauna for that matter. But it's all about getting the heart pumping so that you push the bloodborne toxins out to the dermal regions where they can be then sweated out. So I hope if you stay below your training heart rate to high end that you'll be fine. But I can't
Okay.
see any reason why you wouldn't be able to.
So my normal routine, but I should not do my most excessive workouts.
Not until after the daily session.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I heard the phone caller. It's Steve Benson. Can you go ahead and ask the question you had there?
Yeah, I asked it on the Facebook page, but so what about swimming in a chlorinated pool to get, as part of the protocol?
Okay, yes. And sorry, if I hadn't approved your post yet, it's only because I've not been very active today on the Facebook group. I have a out-of-town visitor with me for the week, and he just arrived. So anyway, the chlorinated pool, yeah, chlorine's bad. Yes, we know that. But to be honest with you, since you're going to be sweating anyway in the sauna, it's perfectly okay. And in fact, I have a lot of people who will just use the swimming pool as a cold plunge in between sauna cycles. Since we're doing a total of 75 minutes, there's a 5 to 15 minute cool down period after the first 45-minute cycle. It's a great thing to do, jump in a cold plunge or a swimming pool. Cold shower works as well too, but it's not necessary to do this, folks, but it does help apparently with sweating in the second sauna cycle. If you take a cold shower or jump in a cold plunge or a cold pool in between sauna cycles, you tend to sweat better on the second sauna cycle. So absolutely okay. But definitely you want to, wash off after the complete daily session in a shower. But to use the pool is fine, especially for the exercise.
Is there a problem swimming while flushing? Would that be dangerous, or does it make?
Oh, no, not at all. No.
Okay, good to know. Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, anybody else have a question? Or Veronica, you want to ask another? Go ahead.
I would like to piggyback on the first question about exercise.
Certainly.
So when we had our orientation, you'd mentioned that vibration plates are great for the initial exercise session, but on my vibration plate, my heart rate doesn't increase.
Okay. The vibration plate, though, is going to help with a couple of things, including the lymphatic system. So you are getting a benefit from it. And it's a case of if the heart rate is not really increasing that much, then maybe you'll want to consider doing something else. In fact, even the priming exercise I just mentioned. But the good news is that for those who have a problem with exercise or getting the heart rate up, the sauna itself is going to be able to do that. The cardiovascular activity increases when you're in a hot sauna. So even if the flush is already gone, you're still going to get the increased heart rate. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. I have a rebounder as well that I can use, and I can do workout too. But I remember you said, "Oh, the vibration plate's perfect," and I was like, when I was watching the videos, it talked about the heart rate, and I was like, "Wait a second, that's not going to work for heart rate." So, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, anybody else?
I'll just make a comment because my wife, though she does exercise and does a lot of exercise each day, she likes to just kind of relax before she actually does the protocol. And so she uses the chi machine, which similar to the vibration plate, it doesn't really elevate your heart rate, but it definitely activates your lymphatic system, and it gives you an aerobic workout without raising your heart rate. It's really weird, but it works and scientifically proven.
Absolutely. And if anybody's interested in getting a price quote on a chi machine, you can go to our website at getdetoxinated.com and look in the shop, and you'll see the form to request a price quote. So thanks for that, Ken. Let's see. I've got some questions. In fact, Veronica, I know you have some other questions. You want to go ahead and...
Can I do coffee enemas during the protocol?
So initially, I've been against doing those for the program because both programs are very strenuous on the body. And also there's a depletion of minerals that's not helpful for a program when you're already going to be sweating out minerals. So I would suggest you don't. But
I do 1 month without, that's fine.
Yeah, I've had people do it though during a program. And they didn't seem to have a problem with it, but I want to say that because of mineral depletion, that's a concern.
Yes, and then I usually do because I'm already in the sauna like 6-7 times a week. I usually do castor oil around my liver area. Mm-hmm. Is that okay during the protocol?
Certainly. Yeah. In fact, I approve of anything that's going to support the liver through this program. So
yes.
In fact, there's a question that I don't know if the person's on the call tonight, but I got an emailed question regarding peptides. So maybe this is a good time to just go ahead and bring that one up since I'm thinking about it. But let's see if I got the right person's question here.
Yeah, that was me that asked you.
Oh yeah, great.
I had some questions on peptides. Just wondering if you had much experience using them in combination with this detox.
I'm a part of the Facebook peptides group, and frankly, I'm not experienced enough to be able to really answer the question, but I'm very impressed with what I've learned so far. In fact, Jay Campbell is somebody I plan to reach out to I'm sure you know that name.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I plan to reach out to Jay because the more I've been researching this since your question, the more I'm finding that this might be something that may make it into the third edition of my book. So, and if I can get Jay on the show, that would be even better.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Jay's one of the podcasts I listen to, and very knowledgeable. But yeah, peptides, it's amazing to me the amount
Yeah.
of people that aren't familiar with them and how long they've been out. They are just a short chain amino acid, natural, but just
Well,
the
they
benefits
support the
are
detox
just
organs.
absolutely amazing.
They support the cells, and even post detox, I'm finding that it helps the body to continue to detox properly. So I am very impressed with the peptides. I have no experience with them, but I would love to, talk with Jay a bit more and get more familiar with it. So you may find someday in the future I'll have actually added something about that into the book because, like with L-arginine, that was another one that I'd not had any experience with, and I found that it was capable of actually recreating vasodilation. And that's something that's important too, especially for people who cannot exercise. So if somebody were to do L-arginine while like 30 minutes before getting into the sauna, that would basically recreate the vasodilation. Unfortunately, though, it cannot replace the niacin for the rebound. That rebound lipolysis is very
Yeah.
much keyed to niacin. But as far as getting the blood flowing and pushing the bloodborne toxins out to the dermal regions, that's a good one. So, I'm open to these suggestions, and I appreciate the question because it really got me digging more deeper into it.
Yeah, one thing you might want to look at with the peptides is peptide, what are they called? Peptide bioactivators.
Yeah. In fact, I should have mentioned that too because that was part of my research. Yes, but please do go ahead.
There is a podcast you should look at as well. This should be a great one to do a podcast with. Natalie Nidham. Longevity is the name of the podcast. She's just a huge proponent of peptide and peptide bioregulators is what they're called. But if you dig into some YouTube videos, you can kind of see where the bioregulators stem from. They stem from a scientist out of Russia, and he's the one that's developed all these, but just a really brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, certainly, I'm going to be doing a lot more research on it, and I think there is a great tie-in with the detox, especially since it supports the detox organs themselves. So, the main ones, the kidneys and the livers. I mean, the skin is the largest detox organ, of course, but we got to support the other ones. And our program does a pretty good job. One thing I will say, though, about adding all these other things to the program is that I don't want it to get too complicated for people to do. So these are the kinds of things that go into the pro tips. And for those of you who don't have the pro tips but have purchased my book or the Kindle version, you can register on our website at getdetoxinated.com/book. And you can access the protocol updated guidebook. And so this is where I've got the 19 pro tips. They're also in my Facebook group, by the way, the Detoxination, and you can get the 19 pro tips. But these are things that are more like enhancements. They're not going to become like a regular part of the program because we really don't want to get too complicated. In fact, this is a good time to bring up the fact that I wrote the book to be kind of a one-size-fits-all, simply because I wanted people to be aware that this program exists. And especially if you're looking just for preventive health, you're not really suffering from any conditions. It's a great program for you to do and maintain your good health. And it's certainly a wellness foundation. So, I think that pretty much everybody on the planet needs this program, but there are preclusions, contraindications, which would, basically not allow everybody to do it. But at the same time, the program itself is something that, it can be a one size fits all, but for the most part, anybody who has conditions that have basically no known etiology, but are conditions that are non-communicable or non-genetic. They're more than likely going to be related to environmental toxicants. And so therefore, when you do a program like ours, you may need to have it tailored to your particular condition. And I'll give us a couple of examples. So like if you've ever had your gallbladder removed, then you're not going to be able to do the oils. So we would have to tailor the program for that. And I would still have you do the lecithin, by the way, because it's a source of choline. But there's other conditions. Gadolinium toxicity from MRIs is another example. Flare-ups are a huge concern with those who've been intoxicated by the gadolinium. And so we have several things that we recommend you do. And also, of course, my remote detox coaching. I work with people to help tailor the programs to fit your particular condition. And this is also why I offer a complimentary Zoom consultation. And that's something that people can book at heal.me/detox. So anyway, enough said about that, but thanks for the peptide question.
Yeah, no problem.
I have two questions to kind of piggyback on that.
All right.
My first question is supplements. So I'm on a lot of supplements, and I know that the detox program detoxes like a lot of things out of your body. Would it be a waste
Including
of
the
money
good
to
stuff.
continue to take? Yeah, that exactly. So would it be a waste of money to continue to take my supplements while I'm doing the protocol? Am I just gonna like detox it all out of me?
So our program includes, replenishments. I don't like the term supplements for what we provide in the kit, for example. They are replenishments for things that are lost to sweat. It's
Yeah,
mostly
I'm talking
minerals.
about the things not in the kit, like
Yes, so the things that are
supplements.
not in the kit are perfectly okay to go ahead and continue doing. There's really no, contraindications on that. It's just that if you're already taking some of the things that are in the kit that we recommend you take, like the standard vitamins, there's no point in doing any more. You're going to get more than you need with our program. In fact, most of the vitamins will just, the body will use what it needs and urinate out what it doesn't. So.
Yeah. So not contraindications necessarily, but I'm thinking more along the lines of wasted money.
Yeah.
Like, will my body detox all the supplements like that I'm taking that aren't in the kit out?
That's a tough one to call because honestly, we do lose some of the good stuff to the bad, especially the fat soluble vitamins and minerals. So
Okay.
depending on what you're talking about, I don't have a good answer for everything, but just know that it's not going to detox everything out like that. In fact,
Okay.
it's a good time to remind people that the protocol is not a one and done. We know from our studies that we're detoxing the body burden by about a third on a 30-day program. And this is why we recommend people look at this as maybe 2 to 3 times in a year that you do a 30-day program. So, and just know that the good stuff that's being sweated out, it's just going to be small quantities of it. But the binders, some of them can pick up the vitamins and minerals. But this is one of the reasons why I love zeolite so much, because it actually adds minerals to the body in an ion exchange when it's picking up the higher atomic weighted elements. So it's actually helping. So it's safe to take around food. I usually don't, take zeolite within a half hour of food because it makes me feel full. But anyway, the fact is there are other binders like activated charcoal, very well known for picking up minerals. And that's why it's not safe to use it for long extended periods of time. We're only using it for, one day or one time a day for a 30-day program. But I would not use activated charcoal daily for like a whole year. It's just not safe.
Would you recommend a combination of different binders? The gentleman that you mentioned, Jay, he advertises what he's taken for personal supplement stack, and he takes a combination of the zeolite and psyllium husk, and I think there might be one or two. Do you think there's any benefit to doing that?
So here's 2 pieces of information that I'm going to share with y'all. The first thing is that I would never buy a product that has a bunch of different binders combined. And the reason is because I understand how these binders activate or work. There's different mechanisms involved. So you have adsorption, you have ion exchange, you have the fiber actions with certain things. The problem is that when you combine certain binders, you can actually cause them to be less active or less potent. So I would not combine them. I would space them out at least a half hour to even an hour. But with the binders themselves, they have different affinities. So there are some binders that are great with heavy metals and positively charged toxins or chemicals. And then there are some that are great for mycotoxins for mold. So like Enteros gel and bentonite clay are going to be more appropriate for the mycotoxins or biotoxins. And zeolite and activated charcoal are really well known for heavy metals. The zeolite's picking up, even the positively charged toxins. So it's my favorite, my go-to. But we do use 2 of them at least on a 30-day program each day, activated charcoal and zeolite. But if somebody presents with mycotoxins or certain other, in fact, Lyme conditions, I would recommend an Enteros gel as well. But the thing is that it's based on the case. So whatever your exposures are.
Since people are already detoxing, do you think there's any benefit to detox your kidneys and detox your liver, detox your gallbladder? Is there any added benefit to several different detox pathways doing it at the same time?
Well, in my book, I talk about the Joseph Pizzorno's the toxin solution to help with the gut, the liver, and the kidneys prior to doing our program. I wouldn't do them at the same time. In fact, if you have any concerns with your liver or kidneys, you should probably deal with those first. And the Pizzorno toxin solution was the one I recommend, but there are others that are good too. That was the one that I knew of when I wrote my book. Anyway, for the most part, as long as your liver and kidneys are working and they're in healthy enough shape to do something like this, it's great. You can do our program without any concern. But if you have had any kind of diagnostic that shows you have some kind of liver or kidney dysfunction or malfunction or whatever you want to call it, I would have that resolved first.
Okay.
That was my second question actually, is the liver. So I thought about it because he was talking about peptides. So in your orientation, you talked about the toxin solution by Joseph Pizzorno, and that you said to get your GI tract, your liver, your kidneys in order first. So my GI tract, like part of why I'm doing the detox is because I have poor gut health from years of toxins. So that is that's going to be that's a really long feat to take care of before you do the protocol. So I wasn't sure how necessary that was. And second, my liver, my enzymes they've been slightly elevated, and I don't know if it's because of the lead or not. I was diagnosed with fatty liver just recently, but it's mild, I've been told, and the elevation levels, I don't know. Like I said, it could be lead. Allopathic medicine wouldn't recognize that. But getting my liver in order, part of doing this detox is the purpose to get my liver in order.
In fact,
I really don't want to not be able to do this, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yes. Well, what I would suggest you do is start with the niacin flush sauna detox, where you're not doing the full protocol, but you are using the niacin to increase the blood flow. Because the rebound lipolysis is absolutely the reason why niacin is the most important element in this program. However, the flush had value because there's always toxins in the blood. And the reason for this is because when your body is producing ATP energy, you're releasing free fatty acids from the fat cells to go populate other cells that are going to produce ATP energy. And so whenever there's lipid mobilization like that, there's going to be toxins that are liberated from the fat and put back into the blood circulation. So in fact, that's why chelation works. And so what you do is you take the niacin, start maybe at 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams, and get a flush going. And then either during the flush or immediately thereafter, you want to get into a sauna. And if it's an infrared sauna, I would recommend maybe 135, 140. But the point there is that you're going to basically try to sweat out the toxins that were already in the blood. So when you actually are on the protocol, the rebound lipolysis is going to increase the liberation of toxins from fat by 3 times or 200%. So it's going to be more stressful on the liver to do it that way. So since you already have these toxins flowing in the blood, it's a good way to get a better detox than just sitting in a sauna. So you can find that nice and flush sauna detox in the file section of my group. And I think I've also got a link to it that I could share in the description of this video. So
Just off the top of your head, how long is the niacin detox prior to doing the protocol?
So this is something that anybody can do at any time. It's kind of separated from the full protocol, and although you'll find a 5-day niacin flush sauna detox as a primer to the full protocol, the straight niacin flush sauna detox is really just something that you can do whenever you want. So you can do it every other day. In other words, you can skip days. You can do it 2 to 3 times a week if you want. And it's really all about just making sure that you're still flushing. So an example would be if you're not doing the protocol and you're doing the niacin flush sauna detox, then you take like 100 milligrams, just for example, and the next time you do it, you do another 100 milligrams, and then you do another 100 milligrams. And when you find that you're no longer flushing at 100 milligrams because your body's gotten so used to that dose level, then you increase to 200 milligrams. So you can do this, like I said, whenever you want. And it's just best to do it or do the sauna aspect of it as soon as you can. Now, if you start flushing and you forgot or forgot to preheat the sauna, it's okay if you preheat the sauna while you're flushing and then go in immediately after. Okay, you'll still get the benefit, but you don't want to wait too long after a flush. But that is a better than a normal sauna, and it's not as good as the full protocol.
I was just going to
I'm going to
comment.
do
My
this
wife,
niacin. Sorry, I'm going to do the niacin flush directly before, or sorry, the niacin detoxification directly before the protocol. So it's only 5 days, and I can do that and go directly into the protocol right after.
Yeah, there's a 5-day niacin flush sauna detox, and also
And that would be sufficient for my liver.
I can't answer that. I don't know how bad your liver is. I would have that looked at before you do this program. I have found though too the zeolite is capable of helping with fatty liver, and I believe the reason for that is because whenever you have zeolite in the GI tract, it's not just picking up whatever you've just eaten or the stuff that's in the gut at that time. It's also picking up stuff that's coming back from the liver that was not converted into a more water-soluble derivative. The bile acids bring these toxins from the liver back into the GI tract, ideally to be excreted through your feces. However, a lot of these lipophilic toxins are going to wind up getting, absorbed back into the cells, into the fat even. And so you're going to wind up not getting them out like it was designed. So the zeolite being in the GI tract is going to help pick up the toxins before they can reabsorb, and so that they get excreted through the feces.
Awesome. That's really helpful, that answer. Thank you. I've actually started the zeolites already like 3 days ago, and I'm probably going to start the protocol in like maybe 2 weeks. So I'll have a good 2-3 weeks under my belt of the zeolite before I even get going.
Yeah, I would also make sure you have a primary care practitioner of some sort to check out the liver to make sure. Everybody's different, and
I just did that specifically for the protocol, and that's when I was diagnosed with the fatty liver. I got the ultrasound and everything.
Okay.
You mind if I jump in on this, Daniel? I've got a couple suggestions for her as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a product called Beat Flow. I think you might want to look at that as well. That'll kind of get all your ducks from. I believe it helps with your gallbladder. So detoxing your liver. I would use the Beat Flow.
Can you spell that?
Beat Flow, BEET, and then Flow, FLOW. It's made by a company, Empirical Labs, I believe is who it is.
Thank you. Okay. It sounds like it may be made from beets.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
It's yeah, primarily made by through I think it's beet leaf juice. There's a couple of products that make you think that it might be the same thing, and it's not. It definitely I think there's like a beetroot extract or something, but you want to go with this beet flow. It's got really good reviews. But there's another company by the name of Level Up Health, and the product that you want to take for your liver, one you want to look at, it gets great reviews, and the guy spares no expense when he puts together these different supplement stacks. It's called Complete Liver Complex. I would highly suggest looking at that. And then back to the peptides, there is a peptide bioregulator specifically made for the liver. I would take that as well.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and when it comes
Okay,
to gut, you said you've got some issues with your gut. I would look at a product called Biocidin. I worked with a world-renowned trainer, trains athletes all over the world, just Olympians, and I had the same problem. And one of the products he put me on was Biocidin. Bio,
Can you spell that?
yeah, Biocidin. You can get it off of Amazon. Just take drops I believe drops in water every morning and night. So that will help with oh gosh, I can't remember the term for it. It's got a few different uses, but it definitely helps you with your gut detox. Another product you might want to take it's a peptide called LL37. It's a viral agent. I would look into that as well.
Okay, great. Ken, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, we're just overwhelming her with all kinds of information. My wife, when we first got our sauna, had a diagnosis with mild fatty liver also. And she actually was taking a product called Leviacol, spelled Livachol, from MBI Nutraceuticals. And their website's MBI for Life. And the macrobiologist that created the formula seems like he really knows what he's talking about too. But the thing that I wanted to point out, where Dan was talking about the niacin, we kept getting delayed on starting the protocol, and so we did the
Oh my
niacin
God, me
flush.
too.
Yeah, we did the niacin flush method on and off for some time before, but each time then would stop doing the niacin before starting the protocol to try to whatever you call that, Dan, to get rid of your tolerance to it.
Right.
But yeah, she got to the point where doing those 5-day things, she was having to take 1,000 milligrams before she got in the sauna just to get a flush. So it was interesting. But the thing that I wanted to point out that was the most fascinating is that even if she'd used the sauna for 45 or even 60 minutes, when she was going through those, she would sweat a lot and everything was fine and she felt good. But when we actually did start the protocol, we noticed a tremendous difference within just a few days of starting the protocol. The towels just look wet when you get out of the sauna, but if you let the towel air dry, the towels before doing the protocol would just air dry and they'd still be white. But they would turn tans and browns and all different colors. So we know there's a definite difference in that sebaceous sweat. So the protocol really is doing something unique and different. The same thing with the zeolite. you actually, when you start to free up the stuff, there's times we always make sure we have some mixed up sitting on our nightstand, so that if you end up with a headache because you've got toxins circulating in your body, you can drink some and it actually seems to work pretty quickly. One last thing that I was going to comment, and I think Wesley, you mentioned the I think you said the psyllium. Did you say that?
Psyllium
Yeah, the husk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a binder. I did some reading on that and did some research on it, and we do use it. My wife actually is gluten intolerant, and my daughter has full-blown celiacs, and we actually use that as a gluten substitute when we're making breads and things, because it acts kind of like gluten, but it's gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting. But the more I've studied it, it does something that the zeolite actually helps fix. There's little like fingers in your intestinal tract that help move the stuff along, and it's where a lot of the nutrients are absorbed into your body. And the psyllium husk has been shown, especially in the larger crystalline forms like they use in the old-fashioned Metamucil type products, it actually has been shown to damage it and cause people with taking it for constipation, and it ends up actually making the problem worse because it cuts and damages those. But all the research I've done, and from what I've heard from Dan as well, the zeolite actually helps heal and helps that work better. So alternating between those two, if you're because they do serve different purposes in terms of what they do as a binder, it's kind of interesting. But there are a lot of fibers that you can take that work good as binders. We as Americans don't eat nearly enough fiber in our diets compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That's all.
But
yeah, so MBI for Life Leviacol is a liver detox supplement that my wife's been using, and that was, I just wanted to throw that one in also.
Well, I do want to also touch on the comment you made about stopping the niacin before the protocol after doing the niacin flush sauna detox stuff. I will point out that the 5-day niacin flush sauna detox was designed as a primer for the protocol, so you don't need to stop niacin right before you start the program. But if you're taking niacin now for any kind of therapeutic use, or if you're doing the niacin flush sauna detox, and you get up to a level that's kind of high, ideally you're not going to get above 500 until you're ready to do the program. But anyway, if you've been taking niacin for a while, it's a good idea to stop for a week so that you can start from scratch, or you can start back at zero, so that we can get the timing correctly. But if you haven't reached 500 milligrams, then you probably could just move right on into the program. We know you can with the 5-day version. So I just wanted to make that clarification, because there's a lot of people who are using niacin, the flushing form of niacin, for cholesterol control, for example, or anxiety and depression, or many of the other therapeutic purposes. So if you are already taking niacin for those reasons, and you have gotten way above 500 milligrams, please stop for about a week, and that'll allow the body to reset. Okay. Veronica, I know you had another question regarding a medication for acid reflux.
Yes.
I honestly am not comfortable answering that. You should check with whoever prescribed that. I think, frankly, you'll find with our program that your acid reflux will probably disappear anyway, for a couple of reasons.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. We use a lot of apple cider vinegar on this program for the CalMag beverage, and a lot of people don't realize that acid reflux or GERD and things like that are kind of related to the fact that you actually don't have enough stomach acid. It seems counterintuitive, but when you actually drink some apple cider vinegar, which we're only using a little bit in the protocol, but still, that's one thing. And then also the gut tends to be out of whack if you've got a lot of toxicity, and glyphosate would be one of those reasons. Glyphosate is in the guts of pretty much every human on this planet. And in fact, there's a funny thing that happened where they tried to to do a controlled study on glyphosate, but they couldn't find a control group that didn't have glyphosate in their body. So that's indication that pretty much every human on this planet has glyphosate in their system, and it messes with the gut big time. So just know that I think after you do the program, or even during the program, you're not going to need that medication. So
I hope. And a question about the niacin, because I haven't gotten the book yet. I have ordered it, but in the kit where I got ordered it from Denmark, so that was fine.
Good.
The niacin are 500 milligrams and 100 milligrams. Is it fine because you said start with 50 or 100 milligrams? Is it fine to start with 100?
Yeah, in fact, if you've never done the flushing form of niacin before, one thing you can do, since the kit has 100 milligram, 500 milligram, and 1,000 milligram capsules in order to help
That's it.
Yeah, that's to help to be able to dose it exactly, because you do need to precisely dose this stuff. But when you first start out, you can take one of those 100 milligram capsules and twist it apart, and whichever side has the most in it, just down that with a sip of water, and
Okay.
that'll be close enough to 50 milligrams. So,
All right, I'll do that. Thank
yeah, you
you.
can throw away the other one. You don't need to hang on to the other half. There's plenty of niacin in those pouches. So.
And a question about I heard in the podcast with the biohacking girls, and I think that this is one of the Pro-19 tips, because when you take the niacin, you're flushing, but then you're gonna wait a couple of hours and then go in the sauna. But you said in that podcast that we can also go in the sauna during the flush.
That's the whole thing about the niacin flush sauna detox, or the primer, the 5-day niacin flush sauna detox. Yes, because like I said, there's always toxins that are flowing in the blood based on activity. So your ATP energy that the body produces with the mitochondria releases free fatty acids, at least the fat cells do. And that's where these lipophilic xenobiotics are storing. So when you have high activity or high ATP production, which the rebound lipolysis condition actually triggers, then you get a lot more toxins that are going to come out, for the program. But when you're just doing the niacin flush sauna detox, you're going to be pumping these bloodborne toxins just from normal everyday activity to the dermal or skin region, where then they can be sweated out through the sebaceous sweat glands. So it is something that is more of a, it's an everyday kind of detox you can do. But once you commit to doing a 30-day detox program like ours, then you really want to stick to the full protocol, which is spelled out in the book. So
Yeah, that's what I will do, the full protocol. But I heard that in the podcast you said something about it would be hard for a lot of people if they were to do that. But could I go in the sauna when I flush and then wait a couple of hours and then do the
you
full
certainly
sauna?
can. You certainly can. It's not something I would say everybody should do.
I won't force it.
Yeah.
It's just if I want to, and I understand that this would be very tiresome for the body,
Yeah.
so I won't force myself. But if I want to.
Well, the other thing too is that the niacin flush will go away. It's caused by the prostaglandin PGD2 hormones that are in the capillary walls. So that the cells of the walls of the capillaries are, containing these prostaglandins, which are then released when you take niacin. And so the fact that when you're on our protocol, you're taking niacin daily, chronically, in other words, where you're also increasing the dose on a daily basis, and that's to overcome the body's tolerance to the niacin, your body's not going to regenerate these prostaglandin PGD2 hormones fast enough, so the flush will go away. So take advantage of it while you can, but just know that you're not always going to be flushing. So,
Okay.
and remember, the flush and the rebound are completely separate. They're two actions that are induced by niacin when specifically dosed and timed. So
Yes, I got that from the podcast. It was very well explained in that podcast. Very good podcast episode.
Thank you for bringing that up too, because that's a podcast that I hadn't thought about in a long time. But yes,
Oh.
the biohacking girls, they interviewed me. Gosh, it's been almost a couple of years now, I think. And the podcasts and interviews that I've done are in the website or on the website under the info tab. You can find
Yeah.
the podcasts and interviews, and that's there. And this is a good time to bring up the fact that I just recently did a podcast with Wendy Myers. So she interviewed me, and if you know who Wendy Myers is, she's one of the most known, I guess, detox experts out there. She's got the Myers Detox program, and she recently had the Heavy, or it's a docuseries, and that was an excellent docuseries. She really went out of her way to explain the problem of toxicity and things like that. She does talk about the infrared saunas. And basically, because that she did that podcast, we got together and I was happy to be interviewed by her. And I think that's going to be released in about a month from now. She's got a backlog, so it's not something I'm expecting to see, within the next 30 days. But when it comes out, I'll be probably talking about it on the monthly program like this one, and also sending an email blast. But yeah, Wendy Myers and I had a wonderful conversation a couple of weeks ago.
And everyone that's here can listen to the Biohacking Girls podcast as well.
Absolutely.
Because it is in English.
Yes,
and it is Spotify.
And for those who don't know, they're Norwegian, so it was the introduction came out in Norwegian, but then switched to English. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. All right, anybody else have any questions?
Hey,
I have
Dan.
another one.
Oh.
Sorry. I'll let whoever spoke go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, I finally got my sauna fixed.
Awesome.
So I was going to ask you about the flush though. If you do the flush, you still get a rebound on that even though you're under 500?
So it depends kind of on the body mass. And if you do rebound, it's not going to be as pronounced as it is when we're doing it precisely dosed and timed. So in fact, the reason we know this is because some people will feel fatigued even on a lower than 500 milligram dose. And that fatigue is the setup to the rebound. But the studies, we have 3 studies that we operate from that show that the rebound occurs, and especially with less body mass. So let's just say on average, women tend to have less body mass. So the 500 milligrams is why we start the 30-day counter at 500, because that's when a lot of people will start triggering. That's shown in the studies. But with higher body mass, like in men, and this is on average, mind you, so the 10 milligrams per kilogram is the better way to dose it as far as calculating when you're going to trigger a rebound. And when I say this, I'm talking about being able to actually know the timing and the amount of the rebound. So if you've ever seen the image that's on page 75 of the second edition, and I think page 70 of the first edition, that's the rebound lipolysis chart. And that's taken from the one study that we found originally on women. And then there were 2 more that, and mind you, none of these studies had anything to do with the detox program. They were mostly glucose study, testing the glucose levels in the subjects. But the rebound in one of the studies that was done on men and dogs of all things is where the 10 milligrams per kilogram comes from. So.
Okay. Could I ask you one more question too?
Certainly.
Because when I was doing the flush, and I think I kind of felt it too, because I don't have that much body mass, but as far as the rebound goes, but I don't know if you could answer this, but I thought I was feeling stuff like burning by my eyes, and I didn't know if that's ever happened with anybody before, if maybe there was some kind of chemicals coming out.
It could simply just be the histamine response.
Okay.
Because that's what the itchy prickly sensation is, or the most uncomfortable aspect of the flush. Also, the fact that when you have more blood flowing to the dermal regions, because the capillaries are more open, then you build up heat. And so you feel that heat, and that can possibly cause eye irritation as well. In fact, people reported having chills after a flush, and it's because the pores have to open to release that heat. And then you have a thermal exchange, which chills the body. So that's
Yeah.
another thing people should be aware of, is they might feel chills either during or after a flush.
I get that sometimes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah. So just a quick question about the mega minerals you talked about in your videos.
Yes.
So is that the same as the multi minerals that comes in our Vitamin kit?
So here's the problem with the videos. The videos were recorded before I became a reseller of the kits. So the stuff that talks about the powdered form of niacin and the mega minerals and all that is outdated, because if you can get the kit, it's much better. It was made for this program, for the original version of the program before we advanced it and included binders, for example. So the kit doesn't include the binders, but the kit is much better because it was designed for the protocol, and we were just using substitutions that we had tested and tried in the center. In fact, the center behind me that you see in this image, which unfortunately this center behind me shut down in 2019 when my father retired, but I like to have it back there, and kind of reminds me of the good old days. But anyway, the kit was, I mean, the videos were all filmed in that center, and that was right before I got a hold of the manufacturer and became a reseller. So I hope that answers the question, because although some people can't get the kit, the mega minerals is a great substitution.
Okay, that does answer my question about that. And it actually kind of answers my next question is, you'd mentioned in the videos to get a gram scale. So I have a weight, like a regular kitchen scale, but it doesn't go to, like, it doesn't decimal the grams. So I wasn't sure how finite the measurements had to be, but looking in the kit, yeah, there's no powdered niacin in the kit at all. And when I calculated my dose, it's like a quarter of the way through 100 milligrams.
So,
like, what do I do? Do I round down
good question.
round up? Or...
Yeah, well, you round to the nearest 100 is what you're going to do. So,
okay, so I'm going to be underdosing a little bit based on my weight, and when I get to my
just
preferred
in the very beginning.
dose.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to point out the fact that because I did not have the access to the kit, I thought it would be easier to get the powdered form of niacin so that you could use the gram scale to measure out exactly how much you need that day. And I made the mistake in the very beginning of forgetting about that decimal point. So where I thought I was giving myself a 50 milligram dose, I wound up taking a 500 milligram dose. And although you don't ever have a dose that's going to be lethal, because literally nobody's ever died from taking niacin, but you can take too much. And I wound up writhing on the floor of, oops, wrong side, on that floor right there, in total agony, because my stomach had knotted up. And I knew I could have taken aspirin, 325 milligrams. I knew I could have knocked that out right away, but I suffered through it. I just realized that I should be looking for the kit, because I knew there existed one, and I knew I couldn't have a manufacturer just go out and make one for me, because I'd have to commit to an obscene number, like 2,400 units per year. But anyway, I was realizing at that point in time that it's probably, if I can make that mistake, yeah, so could others. So I don't recommend the powder anymore, but it is still in the videos. So
Awesome, thank you. Sorry for
you're
your
welcome.
demise.
It's a learning curve. So anyway, looks like we're coming up on 7:26. So anybody else have any other questions before we start to wind down?
I have one last one,
Sure.
and this is perfectly fine if you can't do that, but I saw the YouTube video before this, and you said something, if you bought the book, you get access to the protocol
Yep.
on the website.
Mhm.
And I have bought the book and the detox kits, the vitamin kits.
Yay.
but I
Okay.
will get the vitamin kit in the mail before I get the book. So I
Okay.
will get the vitamins on Friday and the book on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I just wonder, can I just show you the receipts from Amazon
Yes.
now, mail you so I can get that access so I can start the protocol as soon
If
as
you want to
possible?
do it, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. I usually just have people take a picture of either the
Yeah,
book itself or the Kindle screenshot and use that
okay.
as an image, when you go to register for the book. I mean, if you've got it handy, it's fine. But frankly, the whole point here is that I want to make sure that you're entitled to having the
Yes.
protocol updates. And it is a good idea. In fact, uh, you could literally use the protocol guidebook to actually do the whole program. The book itself has a lot of background history to how we got where we are today. It talks about my dad's military career and how he was doing in-flight medical research of biological and chemical defense systems, and how he was the flight surgeon for the SR-71 Blackbird at Beale Air Force Base that leaked like a sieve, this JP-7 exotic fuels on top, just be raining down kind of on these ground crews. They had to wear rain ponchos to, try to protect themselves, but it wasn't working. They were coming down with all kinds of weird conditions because of the exposures, and that's how he got started with this whole thing. But the other things in there, like how to live a more toxin-free lifestyle, and there's a 50-page response letter to the California Medical Board when they challenged him for, using this method for occupational medicine, which was unorthodox and not something that was, condoned by the AMA or anything like that. And that 50-page response letter had 23 pages of cited medical literature that the California Medical Board read through and agreed that the program had merit. And not only did they allow him to continue, the state of California became his largest client. So that's all in the book. But chapter 3 of the book is the one that has the actual, what you need and how to do it. And that's what the protocol guidebook is just the more updated version of it, because there'll be things like, we're talking peptides here, there'll be things like that I agree would make sense to talk about. And so they go into the protocol guidebook before they get published into a new edition. So that's always going to have the most updated information. And anybody who's bought the book or bought the Kindle version, all they need to do is just show proof of purchase by either taking a picture of the cover or taking a screenshot and using that as the image. There's a place to upload that. And then once I see that and have time, because I have to actually go in and approve it myself, but then I put you in as a member where you can then use the tools in info, and there's a menu option under the book resources that becomes active. And that's when you can log in and go there and get not just the protocol updated guidebook, but there's also forms, information you can provide to your primary care practitioner or functional medicine doctor that explains the program in more appropriate terms so they understand what you're going to do. But there's all kinds of information in there, so it's worth registering. And
I'll
always,
do that then. Thank you.
yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, we're at 7:30. Anybody else want to get one last question in?
Yeah,
I just
I've got a
wanted to
couple
thank
quick.
everybody. That's all.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's input. And I feel grateful, and I'm really glad that everyone was here to help tonight. Thanks.
Well, thank you for being here. And, I'm grateful to everybody that showed up today that could. And, I'm really looking forward to having this out there for people to see, because it definitely was one of the, I think, more informative Zoom-ins. So thank you guys. Go ahead, Wesley. What was the last part there?
Yeah, I haven't read your book yet, but it only makes sense to me that somebody going into this type of detox should be well hydrated. Have you guys done any type of studies on, the detox pathways and how how your hydration is affected by that?
So we absolutely are hydrating appropriately on the program. And in fact, one of the steps that we include is we recommend, at least because we would at the center, weigh you in and weigh you out at the end of the session. And we would compare those values to see if you've hydrated appropriately, because it'll tell you in a quick snapshot. If your weight is the same or higher at the end, then we know that we've replenished what was sweated out as far as, you know, the fluids go. So, and I've just by paying attention to the patients at my center when I still had it, I found that about 16 ounces of fluid is pretty sufficient per sauna cycle to keep people well hydrated. But there are no studies that are done on this. In fact, the studies pretty much ended back in the 2015 time range. We were working as consultants with other programs that were doing their own studies. So we stopped doing our own studies because the groups that we were working with, like the Utah Meth Cops and the Gulf War Syndrome study, things like that. So we don't do studies on the specifics, like, you know, the hydration levels and things like that. What we're looking for are body burden reductions of the specific chemicals and heavy metals that we were detoxing. And in a lot of cases, those are PCBs. So that was the main thing that we were seeing, keeping in mind that we started off in occupational medicine and we weren't, you know, thinking about treating any kind of conditions. We found, though, that this protocol is very effective at reversing any non-communicable and non-genetic conditions that have no known etiology, because they're probably related to environmental toxicants. But the studies have not been like specific to, you know, particular aspects like hydration.
I was more, I guess, more interested in hydration at the cellular level. You know, there's different supplements that you can take to hydrate the cell. Creatine for one.
Yeah, I don't have a way of,
acetylcysteine.
yeah, I just don't have a way to do controlled studies at this point. I don't have a center. I don't have controlled facilities or anything like that. So, and I'm the only one right now that's actually actively doing the detoxination protocol, which, by the way, guys, if anybody's interested in becoming a detoxination, we do have that program. And my group members do save a lot of money on that one, but just know that there is a way for you to learn how to do this program and tailor it to individual needs. So if anybody wants to become a detoxination, be sure to reach out to me, because the program is available today. It took me a couple of years to really get the whole thing dialed in, and it is available today. So just reach out to me and I'll help you get set up with it. So. Okay, well, I think it's time to go ahead and close down the meeting tonight. And again, I appreciate everybody's involvement, and it has been a very informative show. So thank you all for your participation.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Daniel.
my pleasure. All right, guys. Well, have a good rest of your
Thank you.
evening.
Have a good night.
Thank you. And Veronica, you're way past your bedtime.
I actually got up now. I can't be up this late, so this is good morning for me now, actually.
All right, good morning. Because
Thank you.
you're in Norway, right?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. All right, guys. Have a great evening.